Hi! So I am back to share more about my surgery experience and post-op for the vertical sleeve gastrectomy. And I do have just a list written out of things that I wanted to review. I know in the last video I didn't go over everything, so if you have questions, feel free to ask me and I will do my best to respond. Again, I'm trying to include everything, but it's hard to remember. I wish I would have done this week by week, but I just didn't feel really well for the first couple weeks. So I just didn't feel like I had the energy to record anything really. So I am currently 6 weeks post-op, so I just want to go over from week 2 to now week 6, and then I'll be caught up. Then I can start talking about other things that I'm working on now. So the beginning of week 2, so I was doing the full liquid diet, like I said, up until 2 weeks. And then I was allowed to start eating soft or pureed foods. That's going off from my surgeon's recommendations. And so that was food like softly scrambled eggs, anything that's pureed, I guess, like pudding. They even said that you could have like shredded chicken, ground beef. You can try those things, cottage cheese. It's kind of like most foods, as long as they aren't, I think they said not like raw fruits and vegetables, because that could be harder to digest. And then my surgeon does not want you to have any fruits for the first 6 months, and also basically pretty low carbs. So no bread, no pasta or chips. So definitely that's not recommended. And as far as what I ate in the first 2 weeks, I had a lot of cottage cheese, pudding. I made pudding with sugar-free pudding mix, and I loved the cheesecake flavor. And I would mix that with vanilla Premier protein instead of milk. And so that way it gave me some protein and it tastes really good. It was kind of like a dessert treat. I also did have egg bites from Costco, and those were really good. I think they have a lot of different kind of soft cheese in them, and they're actually very moist even when you microwave them. So I recommend those. And let's see what else I had. I think I tried a little bit of refried beans. They're a little higher in carbs, so I guess that's not quite as recommended. It's recommended to be under 50 carbs with my surgeon's plan. And then I had, just looking to see if I had any list of foods. Yeah, I just had, and I had I did have some meats, and I did okay with that. Mostly, I did okay with rotisserie chicken that was shredded. And actually, my stomach was fine with that, as long as I took really small bites and I used an infant spoon and I would chew until it was just completely chewed up. They say like 40 times at least, and maybe more if you need to. As far as like fruits and vegetables, I didn't have any in the first like 2 weeks of actually eating food. I was so full on very, very little, and I continued to have a hard time with getting enough fluids in, because I just felt so full. And so I could start drinking a little bit more, as far as I didn't have to just sip. I could take almost a normal swallow, actually, by probably about 3 weeks. And then, so yeah, the food, one note that I have down here is that when I started eating food, it made my stomach very tight and full, and it was cramping a lot and a lot of gurgling. I don't have that as much anymore. So a lot of gurgling and cramping. So I would recommend definitely going really slow, chewing really well. I didn't have any nausea. I was really lucky with that. And then by week 4, I was able to take a couple of gulps at a time without pain. And that's just water. If it's anything more than water, I still can't. And only on an empty stomach. So I'm doing a lot better with water. And the funny thing is I actually had to take a drug test kind of around that time. And I was really worried because I've had such a hard time with the water intake, and I didn't pee enough because I was dehydrated. And they tell you don't drink anything for 3 hours before because we don't want your urine to be too dilute. Well, it was not dilute. So they had me drink a couple of cups of water while I was there. And I actually drank 24 ounces of warm water because I figured that would go down easier in just over an hour. So that's 3 cups in an hour. That's a lot. But my stomach was empty, and it was warm water, so I think it was just kind of sliding down the pouch pretty easily down my sleeve, and that worked. So currently I'm able to drink enough, but I don't as often. I think I just get tired of drinking, and I'm not really thirsty or hungry until I start to feel that my mouth is really dry and I'm really dizzy. So it is very important to try to drink enough, and you just have to keep track of it and keep some water with you. It's important because I just feel awful when I don't get enough. And then let's see, almost no hernia pain after 5 weeks. The surgeon did say that it could last up to 2 months. And he said that's like the worst that he's seen it. So thankfully it did not last 2 months. And now I would say occasionally I feel a little bit of tightness here in the shoulder. And that's only when I eat or drink too much or too fast. And then, let's see. I keep saying and then, and more aware of that. So now I am 6 weeks out, and I don't know if I talked about my stats. So I will go ahead and add them to the previous video and then add them below to this video, but I'll let you know. My pre-op starting weight was 241.2. My surgery weight was 230 even. And then now today I am 203.2. And that's about 6.5 weeks post-op. So in a total of 8.5 weeks, I have lost 38 pounds exactly. So I'm really happy about that, and I do hope to lose a lot more. Obviously, I need to get way under 200 pounds. My goal weight right now is 130, but you know, I have never been that size as an adult, so I may need to increase that by quite a bit. So that was it up until now. Let's see if I can say anything about now this week. The biggest problem continues to be getting enough fluids. Yeah. Because I just don't feel like it. I kind of want to eat instead of drink. And so you have to kind of weigh your, like how much food you get and how much water. So you have to wait 30 minutes in between eating to drink. So that means 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after. And that can be pretty hard. And then another problem, I haven't had any nausea, but all of a sudden this week, I've started to actually have some nausea. And I think that that is related to too big of bites and eating too fast and eating too much. Because it doesn't hurt or cramp. And so I start to eat like I used to, and then I get really sick. And I haven't vomited, but I definitely do have to like slow down, sit down, and take some deep breaths, and sometimes even kind of stop everything that I'm doing, really, which is something that I need to work on. So I need to go back to eating with the infant spoon and chewing really well, and then measuring out my food. So I've started to use a 1/2 cup measuring with my dinner, and so that's about how much I should have at this point. So I think that's gonna help, and this has only happened like 2 or 3 times in the last week that I've just kind of gotten a little carried away. And then as far as exercise, I haven't started any exercise just yet, just because I feel like I'm not quite getting enough calories and fluid to sustain my energy and body while I'm working out. I'm a little bit afraid that I might faint or something, because it definitely feels like it sometimes. I do walk with my son outside. I take him to the park and things like that, and then I'm really active within the house, doing housework and taking care of my son. So I'm also transitioning into a plant-based diet. That's not necessarily recommended by most weight loss surgeons, because it is higher carbs, and I would say it's still pretty adequate protein, but it is higher carbs. But since I have started a plant-based diet, my weight has been dropping again when it had stopped for a while. And also my digestive system seems to be working better, as far as I was getting kind of constipated before. Sorry, but you probably want to know everything about the surgery, and that's really something that can be a problem, because if you think about it, you're not eating as much as you used to, and so the volume is lower. And then also protein in general can cause constipation, and on top of that, not getting enough fluids, and even adding to that, not having enough exercise. So you have all these things working against you and causing constipation, and really a plant-based diet has worked really well for me, in addition to getting a little bit of movement and some more fluids. Still taking a stool softener. So yeah, the next video I'm going to do will be talking about my transition to a plant-based diet. I'm not fully there yet, and it's mostly because we have food in the house that I'm kind of working through a little bit, that my teenagers and baby won't eat, that my husband and I will. Some of it we're going to give to family, and then some of it we're just there he goes. Some of it we're just going to incorporate it into our plant-based diet. So there are a lot of people who do kind of a 80% plant-based diet, and then they still eat some meats. So that's kind of where we are right now. But I'm going to talk more in the next video about why I'm doing that, and then what kinds of things we're eating. And I was thinking I would even do what I eat in the day, and maybe if I can figure out how to edit a video on some before and afters, or not really before and afters, but before and current pictures. So I thought that might be kind of fun. It'll be better even, you know, as I get smaller, but kind of fun to see now. So I guess that's it, and I'm gonna try to start doing like weekly updates too, so that I don't get behind and forget and miss things. So please give me a comment below and ask any questions, and I will see you guys next time.